Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's being brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where professionals and entrepreneurs publish to grow their businesses and to leave a legacy. In this segment, we are doing a series of business spotlights from professionals and businesses across the country and even in your town. Joining me for this segment is Courtney Walsh. Courtney is a psychic medium and metaphysical author. Courtney, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mark. I'm thrilled to be here. It's such a pleasure.
Courtney, tell us a little bit about your work and specifically the types of folks that you help.
Yeah, that's a great question. I do sessions, intuitive counseling sessions, I like to call them. People say, well, what kind of readings do you do? And I joke and I say, life-changing ones. And, toot your own horn, right? Mm-hmm. And so people seem to come to me when they're in all kinds of states, Mark, whether it be in transition or they're moving up their growth curve spiritually, or they just want to check in on their day-to-day lives, like where they're at, where they're going, and what kind of stuff is in their way. And that's where I can be helpful.
Right on. So I know that you wrote a meme called Dear Human that's been shared over 1 billion times, and then it became a book. Tell us about that. That's fascinating.
Yeah, that's been kind of a wild journey for me. Going viral is quite an experience as a writer and as a, metaphysical being, I guess. That was sort of took my life by storm a little bit. I didn't quite expect it. I mean, always as a writer, and when you're writing and publishing and getting your name out there, you do kind of want the acclaim and the fame and all that stuff. But when it happens so suddenly and so quickly, it kind of messes with you, to be honest. So I'm still kind of recalibrating from all that. I'm very grateful. I'm very in awe of it and still humbled by how far and wide it's gone. It's been translated into German. It was published by Findhorn Press, which was a whole magical other story that it would take us an hour to get into that. But basically, and then Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, she endorsed the book, which was phenomenal because she's, one of the writer heroines of mine, really up there. And so it's just been quite a journey and wild ride. And now I kind of I've backed off of some of the social media stuff. So when you approached me, I was like, well, should I do it? And I thought, dip a toe back in, because I had let my websites go. I had kind of shut down my Facebook, and now I'm really just on Instagram. But I love it. I love my work. I love the people that come to me. I love helping, and I love seeing those transformations happen.
When did you write that meme, that Dear Human meme?
Yeah, so that came out in 2012, and it just kind of keeps going. It's been in like a one-woman show. It's been in funeral vows, not funeral vows, but funeral speeches, wedding vows, and yoga studios and cubicles. It's just it kind of blew up. It really went everywhere. Yeah.
For our listeners out there that may not be familiar with Dear Human, tell me what that was about. What was the meme about, the theme of it, and what did they do when Elizabeth Gilbert turned it into a book?
Yeah.
Tell me.
Okay, well, just to be clear, she didn't turn into a book. Findhorn Press did, but she shared the meme.
Gotcha.
And then that was kind of a bump. And then it's been shared on some Deepak Chopra sites and Neil Donald Walsh and Ariel Ford and some really, good heavy hitters in the, whether we call it New Age or self-help community, you know what I'm talking about, right? So
yeah, share what the theme of the meme.
The theme of the meme is unconditional love. And it's about not putting pressure or spiritual perfection on ourselves, but to do our best as humans, and to be kind of, that there's a gloriousness in the messiness of humanity. And, people call it ego or shadow or wholeness or fullness or multidimensionality, whatever your labels are. I kind of love this human journey, even though it has its pitfalls and peaks. And I love being on the ride. And I've had my bouts with what people call depression and anxiety, and I call power surges and crashes. And then also getting online and getting more comfortable with my intuitive gifts and talents, and learning how to flow that energy and learning how to use it to serve myself and humanity and life. So that's really been,
Is there a commonality among the folks that reach out to you? What are their challenges? What are the most popular challenges that you hear when people reach out to you? And what are you looking for?
There's levels. That's a great question, Mark, actually, because I get asked a lot of similar questions of like, how did you get into this? How do you do this? I think I'm psychic too. What do I do to, get there and develop it? And so I'm getting I have a vast range of people, from people like women getting initiating the divorce process, or, young 20 somethings in college now facing COVID. And in the business, we joke that like the readings tend to be a lot of paid or late. People want to know about their career and their love life, not to be crude. That's just kind of what people come for. But what they really get is a little more in-depth spiritual like blueprint of what your journey and mission and path is, and then how to navigate that. And it really is a lot of like coaching, spiritual coaching.
That makes a lot of sense. And, just as our mentors have taught me and Dan Kennedy's taught me, you sell folks what they want, but you give them what they need. That's what it really sounds like.
Yeah. And so they come in the door thinking they're looking for true love or career success or money. And they are, but really sometimes they need to heal some of those inner wounds or childhood stuff and trauma to get out of the way and get their vibration up so their magnetism goes out, so they can actually attract and align with things rather than go and hustle and grind, because that's been much more my philosophy, and it's really worked for me beautifully. So,
well, they often don't know what they don't know, right? Essentially, that's the expression. They don't know what they don't know.
Yeah, and on the human level and in the personality level, like hard work seems to pay off, but in the spiritual level, you kind of have to get lazy like a cat. This one guy said this ancient, not ancient, but this guy was channeling ancient Chinese wisdom. He said, people who get cancer, he was an acupuncturist. He said, people who get cancer come to me and I tell them, your nervous system is frying out and your diet is rough and your lifestyle and you're not resting. And so, people are burning the candle at both ends and revving up their day with coffee and winding it down with wine or whiskey and just missing so much because they're not present, sober, clear, and alert. And I don't have a judgment of how people choose their recreation or their fuzziness. That's life. But I feel that, in garnering or harnessing that, growing your psychic abilities or your intuitive, connection with your own higher self, you do want to be as clear and open as you can. And so you want to support that. So I do a lot of what I call kind of psychic 101 education of like, it's not like the movies, Mark. It's not like we've been sold. It's not often this supernatural haunting, kind of demon, thing. Being a spiritual being is very much about the human journey, so I love that.
Yeah, Courtney, it sounds like the session is almost like a deep dive and a diagnosis. Can you describe for our listeners, like, what's that experience like working with you? How will they benefit from having a session with you, and kind of give us just a 10,000 foot view of what you take them through?
Sure. I love that. These are great questions, by the way. You're making me think. Like, I have a lot of wonderful client testimonials, but they're kind of all over the map, right? Because everybody who comes in, like you said, it's very customized to what they're going through and where they're at. But I have the ability, I guess, to go into their field and kind of cut through a lot of noise and static. So I've had people tell me, and more than one person actually, say, oh my God, one session with you was like 5 years of therapy. I feel so clear. I feel so light. I feel so hopeful. And that is my goal. I'm not a doom and gloom prediction, negativity, toxic, person who wants to discourage people. I want to encourage them, be kind of like a you can do it cheerleader, help them move out of the negative, blocking mindsets that keep them stuck or feeling stuck, and help them soften into, I'm not a no pain, no gain person. I'm not a hard work pays off person. I grew up with an alcoholic, I'm not alcoholic, but workaholic father. Same thing. It's an addiction, right? Yeah. And so I'm really mindful that I don't want to get into that dynamic for myself, because I easily could go there. I am a creative person whose engine and fire is going 24/7, but I do hit those burnout walls. So I like to help people navigate their energy. So that's really one of the major things I do, is like getting people in tune with the somatic wisdom, the body wisdom, the energy, what lights you up, what drags you down, what energies you feel good around, what activities you kind of lose track of time with. And so when we have these dialogues, and I'm also doing energy work and clearing as we do it, sometimes hands-on, sometimes just intention. They do often tell me they leave feeling lighter and better and more hopeful and more empowered. And I don't want to enable them. I don't want to do it all for them. I give them homework. I give them assignments. I tell them, go do this, journal that, meditate on this, and they're really, I'm very lucky that a lot of my clients / students are very motivated and inspired, so that's kind of my ideal client.
Courtney, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you know that this was your path, and what inspired you to be a psychic medium and a metaphysical author?
Yeah, I really think it was an ongoing, lifelong thing that was germinating. Like my dad teased me once. He said, I'm not surprised you're doing that for, as a semi-professional or whatever. And I said, why? Because really I lead more with the author, right? In the business community, author, you're not going to get rolled eyes. You're not going to get, I don't believe in that stuff. You're not going to get, the skepticism. So I lead more with that because that to me lends some credibility to the fact that, hey, I kind of know what I'm talking about here. I'm writing these books and I'm out in the world doing my thing and talking and speaking and doing these kinds of interviews. But as a kid, I would always go to the fortune teller, to the palm reader, to the whoever was, and we would go to carnivals and festivals and fairs, and my sister would be off on the rides and the roller coasters, and I'd be like, where's the lady? Because usually it was a lady, right? And I would find the lady, and now I am the lady. So there you go.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm actually getting a lot of people coming to me now. A lot of them are college students who are in this transition. Either they're going to take a gap year or they're just figuring stuff out, especially with COVID and everything. And they want to do like little psychic play groups or psychic, education. They want to develop, and they come in and they're very eager and fresh and open. And I love that because they're not jaded. And it does take a really healthy curiosity to succeed or enjoy this realm. Otherwise, you're going to face a lot of skepticism. You're going to face a lot of pain because of people and dealing with loss and talking to their deceased loved ones and bringing through messages from spirit and the other side and everything. And it's not so hyped like it is in the movies or on TV. It is, to me anyway, a much more subtle process.
Courtney, before I ask you my last question,
Sure.
Speaking of the pandemic, how has that impacted your business? You're getting more calls, fewer calls, different calls, asking for different stuff. Tell me how the pandemic's really impacted your business.
Yeah, more clients for sure. It's almost tripled, I would say, because obviously people are going through, that either a dark night of the soul or a wake up call or a reset button or whatever you want to call it. And I've already been through several of those personally. So I can kind of, in some ways, handhold people, but in some ways also help them light fires under themselves to, okay, well, let's move in the direction of what you really want then. If you've been on this autopilot, on fumes, exhausted, going paycheck to paycheck in these unsatisfying relationships, feeling unhealthy, where can we boost your esteem and your confidence so that you can start tackling those areas one by one or even all at once. Some people want to do like the whole life makeover now because it's like, well, time is short. I don't want to waste any more of it. We don't know what's happening tomorrow or next year or next week. So let's get to it. I want to live my best life. And honestly, that isn't dripping in diamonds or, whatever. It's really feeling personal satisfaction, fulfillment, and inner peace, right?
That's terrific. Courtney, for our listeners out there that could definitely use a session with you, would like to connect with you, how do they find you?
Yeah, so like I said, I've let go of a lot of my electronic, media sites. So I'm now really kind of old school, and I would give you my email, which is Courtney A. Walsh, all one word. Don't forget that middle initial, Courtney with a C. No Kardashians here, no offense. COURTNEY AWALSH at Gmail. And they can also find me on Instagram as Courtney A. Walsh.
Terrific.
And one more thing, Mark, I am
Sure.
also doing, I am available, sort of part-time through this store, this wonderful metaphysical bookshop here in Fort Collins, Colorado. And they can also find me through there.
Excellent. Terrific. Courtney, I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing with my audience today. Absolutely fascinating. I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate this opportunity, and thank you for being so gracious, and have a wonderful day.
This segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where professionals and entrepreneurs publish to grow their businesses and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. Join me on my next Expert Spotlight. I'm Mark Imperial.